I'm going to give you a couple of facts. 85% of people, no matter what circle you're in, 85% of people are overweight, and that's including fighters as well. And so how do we combat this situation? Here's what you got to do. First thing you want to do is choose, all right, your how and what, because the mindset that it's going to take for you is understanding why you want this particular outcome. Is it hindering the way you're living currently right now? There's every time you go and see a weigh-in, there's fighters that are actually overweight during the weigh-ins because they're not doing what's necessary to do. Their minds is not in the right place. So how do you get the athlete into that mental space? Yesterday we did a series on mindset of champions. So that series is mindset of champions. And how do you get to that place? You want to get yourself to a higher good. So how do you go about doing that? The first thing you want to do now is get yourself into a meal plan after your mindset. The mindset is all about setting the goal. The next thing is all about having the process. So what does it look like on the screen when you have a nutrition plan that's going to basically tell you the how? And that how is intermittent fasting. That's my method. I've been utilizing it for years now because it's the process of the body metabolizing food, digesting food when the sun's down. A direct trajectory with the sun. When the sun is up at its highest point, your body is able to metabolize and burn. Now you want to know exactly what is your metabolic rate. You get your metabolic rate. Just say, for instance, if I'm a $160, 180, I'm in that 2,200 to 2,500 ratio of the metabolic rate. That's my ratio. If you're under 150, you're talking about 1,800 calories. You got to know what that is. And one of the reasons why is because from that point, you have to know, oh, I got to go a little bit under what I'm actually needing to do with this food. And just one summer, I was responsible for over 11,000 pounds of weight loss. So I understand this. I've taken a multitude of people into the I lost 100 pounds category, or I lost 75 pounds category. I've done 150. I know what that process is because one time I actually went and gained weight myself over 30 pounds, and it was a beast to lose because I was over the age of 40 at the time, and metabolic rate slows down. But back to the story at hand. Now we figure out how. We show you the method of the what. We're going to use the paleo diet. So you put the paleo diet right in your face. So you know exactly what it is, and what you have here now is a balance of what people who are not clear on getting rid of the junk, the sugars, and all of the refined nastiness that really helps cultivate a lot of cellulite, a lot of body fat, a lot of swelling. And what you want to do is reverse that process. And a paleo nutrition plan is one of the ones that I have used. And I've also tried different levels and low carb, but making sure that my fat ratios are where they need to be intake wise, because now my body can focus on burning fat as the fuel. Glycogen stores, because I intermittent fast. I do 18 to 20 and 24 hours. It's all about having the right mindset. And when you have the right mindset, it doesn't matter. You're going to crush it. You're going to get to that space. So maybe you're focusing and you're dealing and living in that space where you have so much kind of caked up, gained at 10, 15, 20 pounds, and it's around the midsection. What really benefits us with this intermittent fast, and it gives your body and your metabolic rate time to catch up. Now, your key is the next facet is you did the how, which is intermittent fasting, the what you use in paleo, and your methodology is making sure that you leave at least 1/3 of the belly empty. That means don't eat until you're stuffed. Some people who do intermittent fasting, they justify eating mountains of food trying to say I'm getting all the calories I need, but that's not the case. You don't want to do that either. And I'm not here to be the bearer of bad news, but the reality is if you don't follow the process of common sense, then what'll happen is you'll start to find the results. You'll start to find residual effects of overstuff in the belly, and the body is smart. It'll make an adjustment. It'll slow down your metabolic rate because it's saying we have too much food in us. So it'll slow down that process with new stuff coming in, and it'll start stacking things in other places. So you'll start looking fatter in areas in the belly. You don't want to do that. So be smart, be wise, follow the process. And the next thing that you want to do now is you're going to go and make sure you got the right proportions And now your ratio's 1/3, because when you encompass this to fighters, let's just say someone who's actually getting ready to fight, David Benavidez. And so he's a guy who's come down from 300 pounds, I think it was, and has gotten down to super middleweight, which is 168. He probably walks around right up under 200 pounds or over 200 pounds, who knows? The reality is that's a big triumph, every single training camp. Then you have Conor McGregor, who's now blown up. He looks like he's about 215, but his frame is 155. But he's fighting at 170, and he actually asked to fight at 185. But what's going to do is that massive muscle, too much muscle, is going to actually slow him down. And now that is what I always tell the athletes. There are only 3 reasons why fighters lose fights. And the second one is lifestyle. And that means over-consuming and putting food in your belly to a place where you're gaining weight, or lifting too much and exercising too much muscle ratio versus cardiovascular training and endurance. And then you start to put on much more muscle. And when you got too much muscle on, what happens is you start to gain slow, methodical weight, even if it looks good. I've been there, I've done it. And maybe you've actually done it yourself. You put on too much muscle, you got into the ring, that lactic acid slowed you down and sucked the oxygen directly out of your muscle. Now, if you're doing that, let me know down in the comment boxes. The next thing that you got to focus on is closing this thing out. Tools is a chart. So as we pull the chart up, this is how you stay on track and get the task at hand. You now have a system. What that flow chart of your nutrition will look like over the course of this week, so that now you don't get up making impulsive decisions. You have time, because maybe you're taking the example that I gave, that maybe you say, hey, I want to try intermittent fasting. But the reality is, if you do it, you got to have a discipline. And if you do it, get into doing it in a manner that you're serious. So having this mindset of, what do I want? What is my highest good? First, 1 pound at a time. Second thing you want to have in place is the mindset to stick to a process over a course of time. So on there, have your calendar, like I said, boom, your calendar right in your face, so that you'll know, I got 90 days to walk this thing through. Or for me, I'm about Breakfast of Champions, and this series is all about doing it in a manner that the world champion would have to do. That kind of commitment to it will change how you move. Now, having something that you can use, this is a detox. Before you get it, one of the things that I would suggest to myself was to optimize myself to get my mind into that place. So I would do a 3-day detox, and this detox would basically give you the actual 3 days to get your mind optimized and prime your brain, right? Your brain gets to that place where you now know what the task is. And when you go into it, you're warmed up mentally, you're warmed up psychologically, and you're warmed up physically. And so if you're having trouble and that's it, this is one of the things that will help you do it the right way, and where you will get the kind of results that you're looking for. Now, I'm not going to suggest what you do, but what I do is give you examples of how I operate my life, and some of the suggestions and direction that I led all of my fighters. And when it's all said and done, from Golden Gloves to World Championship titles, to having people just not know how compounding bad habits happen. Now, you can eat junk all you want to. If you stay up under your calorie, then the weight just doesn't pile on, but other things do. Residual effects, sugars, carbs, too many of those, that will destroy your system internally. So just be smart, be wise. And remember, tomorrow, what we're going to get into is why boxing needs you more than ever right now, because you are the fans, and we are now at a place where in time, boxing has been left in the cold by HBO, left in the cold by Showtime. We got an up and coming fight, which is the final fight on Showtime Championship Boxing. And I want you all to really take heed to how important your role is. And if you stay tuned tomorrow,